Shut up!
Hey guys, welcome back to the Noise Podcast, where we discuss topics from the eyes of 18-year-olds. To those of you who don't know, we have been uploading some quick clips on previous episodes. Do check them out. To start off, I'd like to take a couple of seconds to address the events which have transpired in the United States over the past couple of weeks. We, as the Noise Podcast, would like to explicitly state that it's disgusting that racism exists in this day and age. Justice and peace are critical for a democracy to function, and it's sad to see events like this. That being said, let's kick off today's episode in which we'll discuss social media with reference to how it impacts the youth to a huge extent. Primarily, I'm going to be starting off with how social media in today's world acts as a judicial system. So we have seen several instances of this quite recently with the boys' locker room chat and even with the death of George Floyd. So what happens is people post it up on their social media repeatedly, and what happens is after a few successive uploads, we see that these issues get kind of blown out of proportion. The major thing that happens is people now add their grievances, the disaffected people now add their grievances to the topic, making it worse and worse. So when I see the same post after 6 generations of forwards and like reposts, etc., it's more likely to impact me in a huger way than it would in the first few posts. So there's a huge exaggeration which is going on, which may be good, which may not be good, but it is not the role of social media to act as a judicial system. And that's the major point that we want to bring forward in this first topic. Anmol, I believe, had a few points to talk on this as well.
Look, I agree with every point you've made till now. So let's actually bring it closer to home. Where we've seen in recent days that a lot of whistleblowing activity has been happening on social media, especially Instagram or so. And these are not like really famous people or so. These are common people like us. And they bring out stuff that are shocking and sometimes concerning and debatable. But where we should draw the line on social media is we need to understand what is it, like what is 100% proven and what is not, what is in our hands and what is not, because at the end of the day the legal judicial system is the main judicial system we're looking at. But today's day and age, the social aspect of things are also very important. And social media has taken over this whole, if someone is wrong, is he socially wrong? Social media has taken over this aspect and it's completely judging people. And a lot of people have fallen victim and prey to this, and it's actually really sad to see this also. And a lot of people bringing out the judgments are younger than even 14, 13 years old. I wouldn't even say to the extent of us, even though we're 18, we can judge everything righteously and rightfully. But when you see like harsh judgments coming from like 13, 14 years old, you feel sad and you kind of feel that social media is influencing them in the wrong way to for them to feel that they can basically express their opinions without proper judgment in their own mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly true. I mean, I understand that disaffected people feel the need to post stuff on social media to bring about an awareness about how they are being downtrodden, right? If I was in such a scenario, I would obviously go to social media to like bring awareness. But there's a huge distinction. There must be a balance between bringing up awareness and passing off your own judgment as facts in order to propagate your views, right? Because
Yeah.
that's a huge issue in today's world.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
go on.
that's absolutely true. And the thing about social media is it's very manipulatable. Like we've not, social media has like, what I would say is social media is a judicial system. The concept has, it's very young. It's still in its fetal stages. We saw it with the Me Too movement. Somewhat it took off a bit, but again, even that had a lot of discrepancies and a lot of stuff which were uncertainties and other things. So when we're talking about things which are affecting teens of today, social media should not be used as any kind of metric or a judgment system for looking at any of these issues. That's what
Yeah,
I feel.
that's true, right? And it need not just be stuff about, like, say, the Me Too movement. Even some right wing extremists saying the BLM is equivalent to the KKK is a really bad comparison between the two things. And the major issue created by this is that if I am a young teenager, an impressionable teenager looking at this, when you pass off your judgment and your views in a way that it sounds like a fact, I am more likely to be influenced by these views and take up a harsher view of things which are not as bad as they are portrayed to be, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
absolutely true.
I actually have a lot to say about this itself, what Avya just said also and what Anmol said. So, first of all, we've all been told don't take the law into your own hands, don't take it into your own hands. But then what are we doing on social media via the social media judicial system is we're doing exactly that with literally the phone in your own hands, right? So I feel like this has actually destroyed quite a lot of people's lives. Also, you've heard uh, about the boys' locker room also, and then similar situations also. This boy took his own life because he was being doxxed by people who allegedly exposed this guy's acts, but then it turned out to be a whole misunderstanding. So we lost this innocent kid's life, even though he wasn't responsible for anything, right? And
Yeah.
about kids,
Look, on the contrary, also we need to acknowledge that these things are not right and they're
I
not
understand.
supposed to be happening. We need to
Yeah,
yeah,
acknowledge
I
that,
completely agree with that, Anmol. But the
but yeah,
thing,
how they're being approached with the manner in which these issues are being approached with, I don't feel it's right through the
yeah,
social media platform.
yeah, so starting off with that, right? Like, I completely understand, even in the boys' locker room situation, right? The first person to put it up on their story, if they really believed what had happened was true, I don't want to comment on whether it's true or not, or what the actual findings of the case are. Simply that they are right in putting it up on their story to express to the world what they are facing. What is not right is someone else sitting scrolling through Instagram stories, seeing all their friends acting like they have been disaffected as well, and they post it up on their story with extra judgment on it. They carry,
exactly.
so you repost a story again and again just because your friend group is doing it, and that's a really bad thing, right? Because you first off haven't checked any of the facts related to the case, you really don't know what is going on, right? And when you pass off that much anger and judgment based upon an Instagram post which may not even cover the entire story, judgment, and a person who sees your story will increment the judgment passed off, and this
Yeah, it
increases
just
and
piles up.
increases. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So according to what Avi said and what Anmol said, so roughly at the age of 13 or 14 only, I'd say we all joined Instagram, right? I mean, I joined later, but that's the age that you're officially allowed to join
Yeah,
Instagram,
yeah.
various other social media sites, right?
Hmm.
So these kids will be new to whatever happens on social media. So as soon as there is some topic trending, like what happened in the past week or the month before that, they'll immediately hop onto that bandwagon, right? And even if
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
intentional or unintentional, the one friend in their friend circle who started this from like this. We always have that one friend, right, who's been on social media far longer than everyone else, and they've
Yeah,
already
yeah.
developed like a set of accounts that they follow. So then they basically take their narrative and they try to push it across in their posts and stories. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Do whatever you want, but so because this friend is there in that friend circle, these kids will just keep joining them and they'll be like, okay, yeah, fine. This guy is a good friend in real life also, and I don't see how he could be wrong because he seems pretty confident in what he's sharing. So let's
Yeah.
follow him. And we'll also share his posts and we'll also share the stories that he shares, right? Or he or she shares. So this is how these kids, right, they form an opinion that is not naturally grown, naturally cultivated because they're just taking whatever their friend is doing. So because of that, this system gets out of hand, it gets out of control. And because like they might see another friend like attacking some kid who's accused of doing something, everyone joins in. And that's the whole problem with the social media judicial system, that people don't actually form their opinions or form their opinions naturally, and if they see their friend doing it, or if they see someone they trust in real life doing it, they think that person is right, and they just hop onto that bandwagon and then
Hmm.
start doxing them, if, for lack of a better word.
Hmm.
Yes, simply put, like, we are completely for allowing social media as a platform to push people's opinions, right? I mean, if someone does something and that really does like have an impact on you or really offends you to a huge extent, go ahead, put it up. We are not for people reposting that again and again and again without actually checking out the facts of the case. What is the real
Exactly.
problem here? So they do not analyze that. They don't even know what Black Lives Matter is, and they put up stories of it. What they're essentially doing is they're creating a diluted version of what the essence of Black Lives Matter is.
Yeah.
And by doing this repeatedly, you're not just you're not just creating a fake narrative, you're also spoiling the narrative of the Black Lives Matter. You're diluting it, and that's a
You're
huge
taking away
problem.
meaning from from the actual movement, and the movement that is actually supposed to bring about change, and you're
Exactly.
diluting that by posting it just because your friends are doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't see
Exactly.
anything that's more toxic than that on social media, at least.
I mean,
Yeah.
when you look at it from a sort of fundamental perspective, if you take applications like Instagram, they have that story-based system. Each story lasts for a few seconds, and these, I think these features they've sort of reduced the experienced users' attention span overall. And on top of that, when when you watch a story, I recently saw on a lot of my friends showed me stories from a lot of people that we know as our seniors and our juniors talking about this protest. It's like in 30 seconds they give us the facts, yeah, but then at the same time they add their own opinion laced with emotion, and emotion is what really appeals to people, right, on a primal level. And so
Hmm.
it's like a culmination of all these factors that I think really leads to a clouding of everyone's judgment. Like they don't want to explore what it is that they're trying to push completely top to bottom before they peddle their opinion on it.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
like, it's not just racism that's being diluted like this. No, I mean, it's really, I'm sorry, anti-racist movements is what I meant. You see stuff like nativism being pushed forward to huge extent because of this, because people don't understand the actual essence of it, and they don't understand what the ramifications are of putting it, because it's as simple as a click, right? You click on a small button icon and immediately you're in a group of friends who post stuff like this, who are actually politically involved. It's just a small click, but you don't really understand the ramifications of you putting up that click without you fully understanding it, right? You type in a huge emotional message, but you don't really know what that's happening.
Hmm. And on top of that, you have applications like TikTok where we're seeing huge surges of completely how do I put this? I wouldn't say inexperienced kids who are completely new to the social media game just gaining followers at an exponential rate. And this is sort of it builds the opinion among these kids that this sounds a bit bad, but that their opinion actually matters. Like when you think about it, none of our opinions actually matter, that we are entitled to push it down everybody else's throats, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and
I disagree with that to the extent that you have to put up what you believe in. I mean, if you
hmm,
don't stand for what you believe in, no one will. But
No,
that
not in
doesn't
that
mean
sense.
you
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
We,
sorry,
What I
I might have
don't stand for is fishing off opinions from someone else without actually understanding what they are.
exactly,
yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Okay, so
Oh,
the thing is, you can't blame these kids, right? Because first of all, this is something totally new to them. And when they get those likes and then those positive replies like, yes, you are right, because I shared this, you also shared this, we are
hmm,
all right together, we are correct, don't worry about it. So they get that hit of dopamine, right? I mean, that's what social media
yeah.
is, right? It just panders to your innermost desires. Like, yeah, I want to be liked too. And then when they get in these likes, it's just positive reaffirmation that, yeah, okay, fine. What I'm doing is perfectly fine. I will continue. And this is the reason why it develops that toxic environment across the world, not just in our country, not just in the States, but everywhere.
And it's not just the recent incident of the BLM protests. It's if I'm not wrong, a case closer to home was there was this instance in where a TikTok star made a pretty insensitive sketch about acid attacks, and it led to something. And it led to something of a feud between TikTok and this YouTube star called Carrie Minati. And yeah, and basically it it ended up with a lot of Indians going to the Google Play Store and dropping a bad review on TikTok, so much so that it brought the rating down to 1.4, and then due to external intervention, Google had to delete over, if I'm not wrong, the figure was around 8 million reviews just to bring the rating back up to what it used to be.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, you can see with the situation from both sides, both the case of this TikTok star who perpetuated his opinions, which weren't exactly, they weren't conducive to good behavior. That's putting it very, very lightly. And then you also have the case of Carrie Minati, where because of this feud, many people just jumped on the bandwagon and completely dropped the nuke on TikTok on the Google Play Store.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Look,
something very
it,
similar to that also. If you're familiar about with Keemstar and H3H3 Productions,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
of this, so this proves how toxic platforms on the internet can get. Right? It started off as something basic as this guy exposing this guy's hypocrisy, basically, but then it started to getting behind the supporters of one YouTuber attacking the sponsors of the other YouTubers, which caused those sponsors to stop their deal, just cut off the deal. So the major source of income for these two content creators has been gone because they started this war amongst each other, and their followers got mobilized and they started attacking the sponsors. So because of this, it doesn't just harm mental health, but they're cutting off financial means also of these guys just over a small fight that could have been resolved over a simple text.
look, one part you're saying that these people are right and they shouldn't have done this, but on the contrary, these YouTubers, I don't want to name a lot, but people I notice a lot are these Logan Pauls and Jake Paul, who are like pretty big YouTubers in today's date, and the glorification of that certain kind of lifestyle they always bring out, and they have no sense of consequence at all. I'm going to state it nonchalantly, but I'm 100% sure they have no sense of consequence at all. I remember there was this whole controversy of him going to a Japanese Logan Paul, right, who went to a
Yeah.
Japanese
Yeah.
suicide forest.
Yeah.
I somehow got the video and I rewatched it, and in the apology he claims that he tried to bring out awareness on suicide, and in the video he was laughing. And how is that even awareness on suicide? See,
No,
when you're
that's
in
like
such
a
a
PR cover up. It's like you slap a PR cover up on any bad thing you do by saying,
Yeah.
oh,
we were
creating.
trying to raise awareness on it.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah,
Because I'm pretty sure he's not even done a tiny bit research on what suicide prevention actually is, right? He just says it because he wants to regain his followers or whatever.
What is particularly appalling about that case was that Logan and Jake Paul, they appeal to kids as their audience. They explicitly appeal to
Yeah.
kids as their
exactly.
audience, and this is how they use that clout.
No, and this is the thing, right? Kids are really impressionable. They don't know what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing, because we were kids at a time, and you look back and you realize that even at
Hmm.
today's age, I would say that we're not completely aware of what is right and what is wrong. And especially at these points, these people are glorifying such a weird lifestyle. Because let me talk about the Western part of YouTube right now, because almost every YouTuber in the West today is about buying something really expensive, showing it off on his YouTube channel, and that's it. That's his content. A
Yep.
lot of YouTubers in today's day and age from the West are doing this. They buy something really expensive. They buy a really expensive car. They drive it around, and they just that's their content. How is this? I remember YouTube being a time where Smosh used to make actual content like real life Pokemon and all, and those used to be funny. I
Okay,
don't know
fair.
when this whole thing created into I'm gonna look at my fancy car, and that's the content of today. I just don't understand this.
To be fair, Smosh wasn't also very kids friendly, but I get your point. It wasn't about glorifying a certain lifestyle, but they weren't the right example also. Like, as kids, you should be watching something wholesome, right? And that isn't the case at all. At least now they have like a separate platform for kids, right? But then again, there are certain YouTube channels that take advantage of this and they slap on all sorts of nonsense. If you see these kids' videos, I think we'll uh, if it's allowed, we'll link one of these videos or we'll mention one of these in the description. But they are so bad. It's very low effort and it makes no sense. Honestly, even as a kid, you wouldn't want to watch this. But you can see kids that watch this try to emulate this behavior in real life and then try to act like what is happening now. And this
Yeah,
is a lot
using
of illegal stuff
emulating
actually is pushed through.
using emulating these stuff is actually really important because I remember there was this really I remember PewDiePie reaction to this one video of one guy. He basically made a video of him supposedly buying stuff off the dark web or the deep web and him
Yeah.
displaying it. But it was a clear like it was a bullshit video of him just buying stuff off sales and supermarkets and putting it in a box, calling it dark web and fooling his audience. But the point is, these kids would have gone further on and done something that wouldn't have worked out fine in the end. Look, the whole thing is these YouTubers till date, a lot of them, YouTube has given a lot of people a platform to express their talents, even us, because we're posting on YouTube and it's given us such a good platform. But there are people who have a lot of views, a lot of uh, people watching them till date, and they have no sense of consequence at all.
Yeah, so what you were saying, right? I'm not just saying like kids like preteens or something like that. Kids who are 3 years old or 4 years old, they basically plopped in front of this YouTube Kids app. Okay, it is a good app. Don't get me wrong. They don't allow comments in videos meant for kids also, and that is good because it's protecting these kids from possible child predators and other malicious human beings, right? But the thing is, there are videos that are targeted specifically towards these kids, and they go wild in the YouTube Kids app. And these videos, they basically they encourage a lot of weird behavior like playing with urine, and I'm not even kidding, it's explicitly shown. Like they use familiar characters like Disney characters like Frozen, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse and stuff, and they are engaging in these weird activities, and these kids, they watch these videos, right? And uh, you basically give your kid this tablet, put the YouTube Kids app, and then it's these videos on loop for hours together. It's like an endless autoplay of rubbish that's being shoved down your kids' throats. And this is very, very scary. If you watch one of these videos, you'll get to know exactly how creepy it is. And this is being fed to 3 or 4 year olds.
But
Imagine that.
honestly, I don't think Teletubbies is less creepier.
Teletubbies wasn't
Teletubbies.
outright creepy. It gives me nightmares, but it was
Tele
pretty wholesome at the end of the day,
no,
though.
Teletubbies is good when we were kids, but now when you look back on it, it's just creepy. Okay,
Yeah.
like what are those organisms? Clear it off now. What are the Teletubbies?
Honestly, that's I don't think you can describe what a Teletubby is.
We'll
It's
find
not
out next
actually
month.
not possible.
I don't know. I seriously don't know. But even like kids shows, I feel is messed up when you look at it from a perspective of an adult. But when you look at it from a kid's perspective, it's really entertaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand what Wade's saying about all these kid shows, but the point is kids are impressionable and to an extent YouTube has been correcting these things, but the whole thing is today even social media, the whole rucksack of absolute nonsense in social media on YouTube, it it affects a lot of people a lot actually.
Yeah, like not just that, right? We see stuff like coming back to the entire racism part. We see people posting up these BLM stories, right? And put it up on the stories, put it up on their feed, a blank black page. When on the other hand, models are doing it too, models and actors as well. While they're doing it, they're simultaneously shooting ads to promote fairness creams. This is the
Yeah.
highest level of hypocrisy possible, right? It's crazy because you're on one hand saying, "Hey, be white like me," and on the other hand, going up on Instagram and posting up a story saying Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
basically looking at us through their tower or their mansion or something, and they're saying, "Yeah, you've seen my ad, right? You've seen that how having brown skin or having a dark shade all over your body is inherently ugly or it's unattractive. So use this white cream, get white, look good, and then you go ahead and say that these white people are bad, and then the Black Lives Matter, and then everything is wrong, the world is so messed up, oh no, everybody's racist.
Yeah,
Oh my god, the irony is hurting my head.
You know what's funny about this fairness cream situation in India right now? I remember they took a big step by banning these fairness cream ads on TV, especially, and
Wait,
that was like
what?
a big
Really?
step. Yeah, it was banned. You know why
Oh.
you're saying this? Because they have not exactly been banned. Because we are Indians, we find loopholes in everything. Basically, Fair and
Yeah, I'm
Lovely
sure I've
now,
seen these
Fair and
ads even
Lovely,
recently.
Fair and Lovely now markets their creams as foundation creams, beauty creams, and not fairness creams.
Mm.
That
their
makes
name is Fair and
seriously no
Lovely.
sense. Yeah, their name is Fair and
Yeah.
Lovely.
Their name is literally Fair and Lovely, and they say we are not being racist. It is, I mean, I understand maybe a couple of 100 years ago or something, it was fine by that day standards, but it is not fine at all. Like, that day standards do not, should not hold up today. You cannot say, back then when we named it, fair, saying people are fair makes them beautiful was like common practice, so it's fine for us. It is not. It may have been fine in that day, but that does not make the entire issue itself fine. Racism may have been fine in the 16th century, that does not make racism as an issue fine. So if we are proceeding towards a society, towards a non-racist kind of state, you obviously have to remove these instances where you're constantly reminded of the past, right? And they say, hey, it's okay, like it's something that we have already been using for a long time. You have to change it now. This is not the same world that you live in. And when we as a society, when you yourself admit that racism is bad, you cannot broadcast a name saying Fair and Lovely.
If you're speaking about India, we'll have to do a totally different episode on racism in India because that crosses the boundaries in several different ways also.
So about spreading false information on social media, right? I came across a lot of posts on Instagram the past few days. It was basically all these big meme pages. They're making a meme out of this. It's four pictures of episodes from The Simpsons, and they're making it look like as if The Simpsons actually predicted it. So basically, these are very loosely tied episodes, and I've been watching The Simpsons for a long, long time, so I know this. So one corner of the panel was from the Simpsons movie. Three other panels were from three totally different episodes. Okay, not even related. So it was a mob with fire. It was it was let me see, the White
A building
House's
burning
lights
down.
being switched off, a police station being burned down,
Oh.
and Donald Trump in a coffin. Okay, so none of these four tiles are related. Okay, and people who hate Trump jump at any opportunity to bash him, right? So they took this, they pushed that. Then people who hate the police, they did this, they pushed that. So these meme pages are not only, see, the funniest part is the funniest part. Trust me, the post before this is always the black square, and it said hashtag Blackout Tuesday, and this means they're not supposed to post anything as a sign of respect, right? They literally the next post is something that they're using to push a lot of comments, right? So people who are going to attack someone, there'll be their defenders also. So there'll be comments, replies shoved into that comment section, all right? And this
So
is
that should.
boost. It boosts their recommendations. It boosts their page into like the front page of Instagram and stuff, and it boosts their audience engagement. And this is just sick to see. They're
That just
instigating these
shows.
people.
That just shows, right? Like these guys who are posting these memes right after the Blackout Tuesday posts, they themselves haven't had the attention span to actually go through what Blackout Tuesday is supposed to be.
Speaking of fake news, again, this is one more thing that it's too funny. This is really funny. Okay, so apparently Anonymous has come back. Oh,
Oh
Twitter,
yeah, I
yes,
heard this. I heard
Twitter.
this.
Let's believe everything that Twitter says. Okay, so apparently Anonymous has leaked documents on Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. I don't want to go ahead and say, oh yeah, Trump is a bad man, Trump is a good man. Nothing about that. But it's been debunked already, and these are old Department of Justice reports that were released to the public a few years ago, and this has been leaked by Anonymous apparently. So it's obvious that they're a bunch of posers, and people are saying, "Oh yes, Anonymous is back. 2020 really do be a movie." They've been hacking Chicago police radios and songs laced with expletives regarding the cops. You don't have to hack radios. It's an open channel. You just have to tune into that frequency and broadcast something. It's not that hard. And
More
these guys are,
importantly, I just saw this like a couple of seconds, seconds before we started recording this. This so-called anonymous Twitter page, right? You know what they just posted? They tweeted this out saying, all of you please change your names to anonymous and change your pictures to the profile picture that
The
I
Guy
have.
Fawkes mask, yeah.
Oh
Yeah, the Guy
wow,
Fawkes
this
one,
is
not just the
so.
Guy Fawkes one. They have even provided alternatives, Ram. That's the funny bit. They have
Oh
provided
wow.
alternatives with Guy Fawkes posing in a different view, or like him in a red jacket. What is that? That is not anonymous.
See, the thing with Anonymous is they're not going to post anything. They won't give you any warning that anything is going to happen before they do it. Ever. It never happens. Yeah, so anytime you see posts on Twitter that's not by the lawyer that represents Anonymous, I forgot his name. He's the only guy, only Anon who actually, posts stuff on Twitter. Apart from him, most of them tend to be fake posts,
Yeah,
just for cloud.
this
Look,
is exactly
none
what is
of this is
happening. So there are,
in
so
today's day
these
and
guys
age.
are
None
also
of this
taking
is
advantage.
believable. None of this makes sense to me at all. So I just prefer not commenting on this thing at all.
It's 2020, bro. Get used to
Yeah, that's the excuse that most of us use. Yeah.
it. This year has been such a roller coaster so far.
I mean, not a roller coaster. It's just been straight downhill. There wasn't any highlight to this year, in my opinion. It's all been it's been going downstairs all this while.
But
No
but
upside
one
down,
more
only
thing.
down.
Oh yeah, one more thing. This is back to what Wade said about Simpsons always predicting the future. How does this like? How do people believe this thing? It has
I mean,
happened maybe once or twice with
yeah, once or
them
twice is
predicting
fine.
some trivial detail, and Trump climbing up an elevator proved his presidency. That made no sense to me at all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we also had another example where Bill Gates he had this TED talk from I think 2016, and he predicted something related to a possible flu or a plague
Yeah,
that might hit the
Yeah.
world, and it was really vague. And every news channel you see just took it, stretched it like spaghetti, and just shoved it down everyone's throats. And it's like there's so much more important stuff you can be reporting on, like cyclones, how countries are handling the virus, all that stuff. But no, they just had to go with
yeah.
something
Actually,
like that.
Ram, now that you say that, how come everyone who are going to these protests and all and
Hmm.
rioting, how come they've all forgotten about the coronavirus and social distancing? I mean, honestly, it's not like an ironic, like I'm pointing out the irony or something. It's a genuine
Hmm.
question.
Yeah, actually, a lot
How
of
is it that there is no surge in cases, or is it because they're not being tested, or I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
I think in case
To
of the
be continued
US,
next
it's
episode. Oh wait, sorry. Sorry.
word
Go on.
word.
I said to be
Okay.
continued next episode. Never mind.
Yeah, I heard. Never mind. Okay. So I think in case of the US, it's like the surge. I don't think any gathering at this point can contribute to the surge that's already hit the US. So you wouldn't see it even if it happened. That's one. And second, a lot of these protesters have actually been a bit responsible because from what I'm seeing on the news, a lot of bad people who want to live out their anarchist fantasies are hijacking this movement, which is actually it's a good expression of people's values, this protest. And a lot of people are actually hijacking this to I saw they desecrated the Gandhi statue in the of the Indian embassy in US. They've looted stores. There's graffiti everywhere, and there's certain groups of the protests that are condemning this.
Yes, exactly, right. So the protests didn't start off with the intention to break anything. They
Hmm.
have been anarchist attacks. I fully understand that, right? That's
Hmm.
exactly what's happening. So, like, in order to conclude this episode, I'd like to plead our listeners, please fact check your news, okay? It's as simple as that. Don't just repost stuff because your friends are doing it without really understanding anything about the matter, right?
Hmm.
Otherwise,
Hmm.
you're left in a situation just like this where fake allegations really kill real people, right? They lead to a lot of mental trauma, etc. And so-called commentators like Tommy Lauren saying the Black Lives Matter movement is equivalent to the KKK are reposted repeatedly by teenagers trying to show off cool conservative ideals without understanding the brevity of this situation. And that's exactly a thing that we would like to avoid in this time when we really need to stand together, posting fake news and expressing fake ideals which you believe, which you think should what it should be for, is not, this is not the time to do that, right? So understand the repercussions of what you post. Understand that before you just click your story onto your Instagram.
Yeah. Before you click retweet or share to story or share to friends, just make sure you fact check it and check where the source is and if it's fake or not. It doesn't take that long.
So with that, guys, we come to the end of episode 5. We hope you're liking these episodes. Keep watching the Noise podcast. We've been putting out, as we told earlier, we've been putting out quick clips, so you can check out like 6-minute videos of ours instead of the 30 minutes. But apart from that, you can follow us on our social media, which is at the Noise podcast on Instagram, which on which we'll be posting out new or the upcoming videos and details about it. And with that, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Be sure to tune in next time.